News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KBNU.
KBNU News Time is 4:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Mount Logan Laundry. It was originally scheduled to be held earlier this month on November 3rd, but the 32nd Annual Family Conference, sponsored by American Mothers of Utah, was canceled because of COVID-19 affecting one of the key performers. But on KBNU's For the People program on Tuesday, Diane Weiss, past president of American Mothers of Utah, said the rescheduled event will be held Sunday evening, November 28th at 7 p.m. at a new venue, the historic Utah Theater on West Center Street in downtown Logan.
Michael Ballum has made that possible for us, and we do appreciate that so much. And the beauty of this event is it's for families, it's for all different faiths, more or less an interfaith devotional type thing on this Sunday evening, and a great way to close the Thanksgiving holiday.
And the night has the same theme as scheduled before, Bring Us Home.
Dan Truman is back and healthy, a wonderful pianist for the Nashville Tribute Band. And also, if you're older like me, you'll know Diamond Rio and enjoy their music. They're from Nashville. He is truly a great, great performer, and we are so lucky to have him join us.
Also rescheduled for the evening, the Cedar Ridge Kindergartners performance. And we said the program will be recorded live that night, and following the conference, you can watch it on YouTube under the heading American Mothers Utah. KBNU News Time is 4:07. KBNU weather for tonight. Increasing clouds, the overnight low in the lower 20s, and then partly sunny skies tomorrow, upper 40s for the high. Slight chance of rain on Friday, mostly cloudy, high temperature in the lower 50s. It's been cool today, only 38 for the high. It's 37 right now at KBNU. KBNU weather brought to you by U&I Furniture. With the family coming for the holidays, you'll need sofas to sit on, beds to sleep in, and tables to eat at. Upgrade for less than you'd think at U&I. Always a better buy at U&I Furniture, downtown Logan, 28 West, 1st North.
Have you pulled your winter quilts and blankets out of storage? Do they smell stale and look flat? And is your hunting gear, sleeping bags, and coats dingy as well? Well, go to Mount Logan Laundry. It'll take no time at all to freshen everything up with their 55 and 80-pound washers and dryers, the biggest around, and it costs a whole lot less than dry cleaning, with free Wi-Fi and drop-off service. Mount Logan Laundry really is the cleanest spot in town. They're on the corner of 5th East and 9th North in Logan, or in Brigham City at 1st East and 7th South.
KBNU News Time is 4:08. Officials of the Logan City Environmental Department have announced the end of the countywide green waste collection season. City spokeswoman Emily Malik said curbside green can collection will end this Friday. Roll-off containers designated for green waste materials will also be removed from the community drop sites located in towns throughout Cache County on that same day. City officials credit the cooperation of county residents for allowing the Logan landfill to recycle more than 14,000 tons of green waste materials annually. Malik reminded county residents that they will still be able to take green waste to the Logan City Green Waste Facility for free throughout the year. The city's green waste collection season will resume in the spring of 2022. Curbside green waste collection service will then be available in select cities for a monthly fee of $5. And the Amber Alert for an abducted child from southern Idaho has been canceled. Police said the 4-year-old girl was located and was with police in Elko County, Nevada, and the suspect has been taken into custody. The alert was activated yesterday in Idaho after officials say the 4-year-old was abducted and was in imminent danger. 4-year-old Elena Dewey was last seen in Burley, Idaho. The suspect that was arrested is identified as 41-year-old Elizabeth Crofts. KVNU News Time is 4:10. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
Stay informed. Stay connected. News Talk KVNU, 610 AM, 102.1 FM, and online at 610kvnu.com.
Hey, it's Al Lewis. We all know buttons make our lives easier. But if you have sleep apnea and can't use CPAP, did you know there's a button that can help you go from this to this? It's called Inspire. It's a small device that works inside your body with just the click of a remote. That's right, a button. If you struggle with CPAP, great sleep awaits at InspireSleep.com. Inspire. Sleep apnea innovation. No mask, no hose, just sleep. Inspire is not for everyone. Talk to your doctor to see if it's right for you. And review important safety information at InspireSleep.com.
This is your last chance to get your overgrown trees and shrubs trimmed before it snows. Call Holt Tree Care at 760-6587 and ask about their radio discount. In fact, right now is the best time to have your trees trimmed because the leaves have fallen, providing better visibility for shaping your trees. If your trees suffered damage from the October snowstorm, Holt Tree Care's certified arborist can help reshape them. Call 760-6587. Holt Tree Care, 760-6587.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
For the people.
We are waiting with bated breath for news from the Cache Republican Party meeting an executive committee tonight.
With Jason Williams.
And I'm really excited about this next segment. We have two guests here in studio. We're going to talk about something that we've talked about many times here on the show, but from a bit of a different angle.
Weekday afternoons from 4 till 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People, hour one of today's show, Wednesday, November 17th. I'm Jason Williams, Bill Walter here in the studio as well, and we're excited. We're kicking off the show today with our monthly installment of Speak to the Mayor with, first time in several months due to the election, Logan City Mayor Holly Daines here in studio with us, successful in her re-election bid. That result, of course, certified, made official yesterday by cities throughout the state. The election results, of course, we already knew, but they have 10 days, something like that, to certify it and make it official, recount everything, double-check every ballot.
They get provisional ballots that come in, and, the postmark deadline is sometimes you may not receive the ballot until after the election. So I think in Logan, we had 74 ballots that were considered provisional. And then you have to make sure again, sometimes people may not have registered. They come in and they can file a provisional ballot, which then has to be verified with the county, made sure signatures match, and you are really registered in the right place. So I think 54-ish, if I remember, of those 74 provisional ballots were acceptable and were counted. And again, the percentages didn't change, but there were a few more votes. So.
Yeah, it was a decisive win for you, and I wanted to ask you about that a little bit. Does this we've talked so much over the last few years about how much is happening in Logan, and I know some of it has been controversial. Sometimes, maybe controversy is too strong of a word. There are a lot of opinions out there. Some have felt, especially downtown, this should be happening, that should be happening. You set a clear agenda, and you've pushed forward with that throughout your first term very aggressively, a lot of stuff happening. Does this feel like a bit of vindication on that?
It really does, because sometimes, and again, we welcome people's viewpoints, but sometimes people who are critical, they may have the louder viewpoint. And you always wonder if you hear from the silent majority, you hear that term, and it's like, am I doing the right thing? You want to do what, the voters approve of.
Sure.
And so I was really delighted. I was humbled. I was appreciative. But it said to me, you're on the right track. We like what you're doing. keep doing it for 4 more years, and so I pledge to do that.
And there's plenty to do, right?
There is, and there are some projects already underway that I'm delighted I have the opportunity to finish up and see through. But people have said, well, we know you'll probably start new ones too, and that may be true, and I may not be around to see those be completed, but I will work hard. I think that's one thing that people who know me, I have a pretty strong work ethic, and I work really hard, and I'll continue to do that. And I just appreciate the vote of confidence.
It is, again, official, certified yesterday, the election results. And you can see those at the city's website, loganutah.org. Mayor Daines, there was also election-related. There was a report I caught this week. KSL TV highlighted a statewide election result, which was, I believe it was 5 cities, Parowan one, North Logan another. 5 cities in Utah elected their first ever woman mayor. And so that was the report's focus. But they talked to the new North Logan mayor, but they gave you a shout-out as well. They said, reelected to your second term, long time on the city council. And they talked about how this has been rapidly changing in Utah. People more open to women in politics. I know Dr. Susan Madsen at USU she's done some amazing research on this.
Right.
And we also have a group called Real Women Run in Utah that is basically exists to encourage women to get involved from the precinct level up to running for state legislature and more.
They run great trainings. If you're thinking about running
amazing.
for office, they really help you go through step by step what you need to do, because the data shows that women they win at the same rate as men.
If they run.
If they run. And often women need that tap on the shoulder to have someone else kind of validate. It's like, you would be a good candidate. You need to run. And inspired by Dr. Madsen, one thing I did last year is I reached out to some of the other women elected officials that I know, and we reached out to all the mayors in the valley, said, send us a list of your council members that are women. And we hosted just an informal networking lunch at City Hall, and just all introduced ourselves and talked about some of the issues we were working about in our cities. And it was really kind of exciting to see all the women that were involved in communities throughout the valley. And of course, I'm not the first woman to be elected in Logan, but sure. We have great women on our council, and we just have a really diverse group of folks. It's
has the landscape changed? Is it, your time on the city council? You've got such a breadth of experience with being a woman in an elected position, in a leadership position, a decision-making position. Was it different way back today? Is it changing fast enough? I know there are a lot of barriers, as the group at Real Women Run and Dr. Madsen's research point out. There are a lot of barriers, as you mentioned as well, for women, things that almost discourage them from just being a part of this process. Is it getting better? Is it easier?
I think it is, and I think part of it is that people are talking about it more, and they realize that it's positive to have more voices at the table, and it should be representative of our community at large, whether it be,
sure,
folks in the Latinx community, women. Again, if we have different perspectives, we have better information to make better decisions. And, I've always felt very lucky in Logan City that I have worked with great people, whether it be elected officials, city staff. But back when I was thinking about running for council, there were a couple of strong women, Lorraine Swenson and Tammy Pfeiffer,
sure,
who I knew a little bit, and they actually kind of did that shoulder tap. They said, you should run. You would be a good candidate. And so I started, again, coming to city council meetings 6 months before I ran for council, and it was really interesting. But I think also the landscape's changing a little bit with campaigns. I think it's harder and harder to go through that campaign process, in my opinion. And
it's getting more expensive.
I know that. And I think it tends to be a little more contentious than it used to be. For instance, when I first ran for city council, which would have been 12 years ago, there were 13 candidates who applied for 2 seats. And of those, to be honest, there were a couple that were maybe fringe candidates, but there were 11 candidates that I thought, wow, any one of those candidates could be a solid city council member. And I wasn't sure if I'd be the one selected. I mean, I was fortunate to be chosen, but again, and we've had some great candidates, but this time in Logan City for 2 seats, we had 3 candidates.
Yeah.
So kind of a different landscape, and it'll be interesting to see if that trend holds true, if it was just kind of a one-time thing.
Sure.
But
it was a pleasure to watch the mayoral race in Logan because this was a very civil race.
Exactly.
And we recently had a state senate race that wasn't, not because of the candidates, some outside groups made it unpleasant, but this is a very civil race. Your opponent, you and your opponent had some great public forums and dialogues, 3 or 4, I think. And I assume you talked on election night or the next day or something like that.
He sent me a nice email and I responded. And again, my goal has always been to run a positive campaign. It's like it's not worth it to me to stoop to a negative level and start mudslinging. It's like, let's talk about the issues,
Sure.
Give people choices, and let them make a decision. And I don't think people in Cache Valley like negative campaigns. I really don't.
It can be fun on social media. It doesn't really inform or educate, and never been a fan. Mayor Daines, our guest here in studio for Speak to the Mayor, spending this first segment talking a little bit about the elections, but there is plenty to talk about going on in Logan City, including a listener just sent this in, that In-N-Out Burger building going up pretty quickly there, but that's just one of several things underway in downtown and throughout the city. We should also point out, again, that wintertime parking restrictions in Logan City are in place officially at this point. So keep those in mind. I know there's not a lot of snow on the ground yet, but those parking restrictions are in place and being enforced. We'll speak more with our guest, Logan City Mayor Holly Daines, here on Speak to the Mayor right after this.
Hi, this is James Stevens with White Pine Funeral Services. As a thank you for your trust and support since we opened our doors 1 year ago, we are excited to host a holiday service featuring a J. Richards ensemble. We extend a special invite to anyone who is missing a loved one as they celebrate this holiday season. All are invited to attend on Thursday, December 2nd at 7 p.m. with refreshments to follow. Please give us a call or visit whitepinefunerals.com for more information.
White Pine Funeral Services, here when you need us most.
Need some ideas for holiday shopping this year? Pick up a free copy of the Best of Northern Utah magazine. You'll find nearly 200 categories of the businesses voted the best in Northern Utah. Everything from sporting goods to jewelry, boutique shops, and restaurants. Best of all, these are local businesses that pay local taxes and employ local residents, your family members and neighbors. So let's help each other out and shop local this holiday season. For magazine locations, go to bestofnorthernutah.com.
Thursday edition, Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show. We continue to update you on the latest with the Kyle Rittenhouse case. Will we get a verdict? What will the jury deliver? We'll give you the absolute latest for 3 hours. Plus, Buck.
Nancy Pelosi says they're going to pass the Build Back Better agenda before Turkey Day. Is she going to get it done? We'll talk about it coming up on the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show.
10 to 1 on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM and 610 AM.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. It's Speak to the Mayor, our monthly episode here on the show with Logan City Mayor Holly Daines back in studio. We spoke with alternates, if you will, throughout the last few months as the campaigns chugged along, but the election now over. Certified results yesterday. Mayor Daines successful in her re-election bid, and she's back in the studio with us. You're welcome to join us if you have a question or comment, 753-5868. And as you said, as we were talking about the campaigns, I asked if it felt like you'd been given a thumbs up from voters in Logan to go ahead or to continue on with the things underway. There's plenty more coming, but we've missed a lot, too, with you out of the studio. Some amazing events, a Latino festival in downtown where Center Street was closed for an evening, just absolutely packed. We have the that In-N-Out building going up. People are still calling us and asking about Costco every day here. There seems to be some buzz in Logan City, which change elicits, right?
It does, and there is so much going on. As you know, growth is really a statewide issue.
Sure.
So many people moving in. The housing is one of the issues that everyone is struggling with statewide. And also, everyone sees the help wanted sign, and, the city itself is struggling with that. We did this summer with part-time workers, and again, there's just so much demand for employees in a variety of fields that, that's one of our challenges. But again, what you see happening downtown, that's exactly what we hoped would happen. As, empty buildings get filled up with new businesses. Remodels happens for, again, new businesses coming in. Those broken windows are, getting fixed. You see the remodels, and we're moving ahead on Center Block. Again, things move slowly, but yesterday was the walkthrough for the demolition bid has been let, and so we had the walkthrough for all those that were interested in bidding on the demolition. And we've had a meeting with all the property owners around the perimeter of the Center Block because, there will be some impacts during construction.
Sure. Maybe
we
some
know
closed
that.
sidewalks. Things
Right,
like that.
and we'll have to take a little bit of the parking area for, construction staging, demolition staging. But
I was wondering about that in traffic. Has that been a concern? As that building comes down, you've got Main Street feet away, and that traffic's not going to stop, right?
Right, and again, part of what the demolition contractor will have to do is, provide a plan, and if there needs to be closures, UDOT prefers you to do those at night so you're not impacting traffic, but you have to get a permit, go through the UDOT permitting process so they know what you're doing, when you're doing it, that it's signed appropriately. So that will all happen, but we had a great meeting with the owners, and they made some good suggestions about how we can try and make the parking work as well as possible during the construction. Clearly people will preserve access to businesses both in the Center Block area from behind where the parking is as well as, out front. But we hope to start on the demolition sometime after Christmas. We told the merchants we're not going to do anything before Christmas. We don't want to, impact things during your busy season. But that should be coming, and we're finalizing the construction drawings. That will be bid separately. But
it's a planned quick process, right? I was just in my head trying to remember we'd talked about this long before the second meeting with the Historic Preservation Commission.
It's been a long process.
It seems like it's been a long process, but an exciting one. The plan was this to zip through this as fast as possible, right? That's what I'm trying to say. If I remember correctly, this can all be done surprisingly quick for a project of this size.
Well, the demolition, we'll have a couple of months for that. We hope to be starting on the actual construction portion by spring sometime.
Wow.
Demolition is a good time. Winter is a good time to do demolition. We're hopeful that we will be ice skating by next Christmas, so Christmas of 2022. We all know how construction projects go.
Fingers crossed.
Who
right?
knows? It could be spring before we open it. But that's the goal. I have a great project manager on it, and we will do our very best. But again, supply chain issues with construction materials, we all know that's an issue right now. The
city's been hit by that in other projects, right?
Right. And when we bid the project, we had a low and a high bid, and we took the estimates, We took the high estimate just to hopefully protect ourselves a little on cost, but again, we know there just are a lot of variables right now, and we're in a little bit the same situation with the library, but we are still on track to demo the old library in February and start construction on that, and that will be a little longer build. Obviously, it's a bigger, more involved building.
Sure.
So
was there discussion, starting all these projects at one time, was that part of the plan, or is that just timing? Because is it a knock all this out? What if you're inconveniencing drivers on Main Street for a little bit? Just do it all at once.
We really shouldn't be impacting drivers on Main Street. Maybe a little temporary closure of a lane while they're doing the demolition or something, but I'm sure they'll have to do a covered sidewalk to keep the sidewalk open in front of the the Emporium area while they're doing construction. So maybe some temporary things, but we shouldn't have major impacts.
Speaking of that buzz again, too, I know, we can't make an announcement here for downtown businesses. And maybe we can speak with the Downtown Alliance about that, or businesses individually. But without revealing anything I've heard, because it's all gossip and rumors right now, there is some excitement among downtown businesses around this. Some planned renovations by private businesses to coincide with this. Some other businesses have actually planned some events next spring around this that I've been hearing about. But this is a lot of change for everybody, right? It's not going to be painless entirely, but once it's all said and done, how would you describe the overall vision that you have for Center Block?
Again, I just thought our whole downtown. I mean, we have such wonderful historic treasures downtown, and you go to other downtowns around the state, and we have so much already in place. But we had some vacant buildings, some crumbling buildings. But let's build on our assets from the Eccles Theater, the Tabernacle, the historic courthouse, and again, connect those. Part of what we'd like to do is make that Center Block walkway that goes behind the Emporium, sort of there from Great Harvest through, by Logan Fine Arts and Al's Framing, enhance that, make that, because it's, again, that section's never worked really well. The section through the county block is much wider, nice trees. It really is a much more pleasant place to walk. And with the new library there between, 2nd and 3rd North, we'll connect the mid-block walkway all the way to the library. And finally, we got UDOT to agree to putting in a pedestrian crossing there on 200 North between the county block and, the city block. So, because so many people, they come to that bus stop and want to go to the library or the post office. They come to the county building and go to the post office, the library, and it can be a little hard to get across there, but at that mid-block area. So we're going to event, probably next year, have an official crosswalk there. And again, just enhancing that pedestrian walkability, get people, that's what they want, is what the research shows. They want to be able to get out of their cars and walk and enjoy, have a gathering place, somewhere to come to, some sidewalk dining, entertainment. Again, things you can't get delivered to your door in a box. And we're remaking downtown to sort of honor that historic, the theater, those things bring people downtown, and restaurants. Again, we've had people ask for years about new restaurants, a brew pub, just some more variety, and we have great existing businesses too. But what research has shown is that a cluster really benefits everyone. I don't think it's because we're bringing something new in, it eliminates the others. Again, if there's really a destination and a place, then it benefits all. It raises tax values, so it helps those that receive taxes. It helps our economic development. It helps our tourism, which is, again, another great industry to bring revenue, but we don't have to house the people, and, they're not adding to growth, but they add to the economy. So I think it's all good.
We spoke back in August. We spoke with, and I'm forgetting his name and his company's name, but he was a consultant for the city in the early stages of this, and he and his team, the sole thing they do is research and advise on downtowns as a destination.
Oh, Roger Brooks.
Brooks, yes. Thank you. It was a fascinating interview, and the way he talked about Logan's downtown, and this is a person that is advised on everything from Olympic-themed downtowns in Canada to, he told us a story of a small city in Utah that he convinced to brand their downtown around a famous waffle that was made at a local cafe, and it worked. It was just fascinating stuff, but it really drove home this idea of downtown. It's not any longer a place to just stop at your business, a business you frequent, and grab something and then head on to something else. People want a downtown in which a Saturday night, that's where you and the family head, and you're downtown for the night. It was a really fascinating conversation, and it really tied in with a lot of things that I'd heard you say, that I'd heard from the Downtown Alliance businesses as well.
Well, in the Visitors Bureau, way back when I was on City Council, Julie Hollis at Hollis Terrell at the Visitors Bureau brought Roger Brooks in. And that's when I first heard his vision, and I knew we needed downtown revitalization. And his points, it's like, wow, this is a step-by-step in how you accomplish it. And that's what I have used as my blueprint for doing things downtown. And he also has another section on plazas, and we've used that as we've planned our plaza. And part of what you really need to do is have action all the time. I mean, you have concerts, you have, games and events and giant chessboards and,
sure,
a splash pad and, skating in the winter. And so things to, again, entertain.
Sure.
So.
It's a fascinating thing to think about. And if you'd like to see some of this, by the way, Roger Brooks has a really fun YouTube channel where he talks about this stuff. Our interview, I think, is still up, searchable on our podcast link. I'll relink to it maybe so people can hear it. But it ties in nicely with what we're discussing here about Logan's downtown in the future. Again, Logan City Mayor Holly Daines, our guest in studio for this month's episode of Speak to the Mayor here on For the People. 753-5868 if you have a question or a comment, and we'll be back with more of Mayor Daines here in studio after these headlines with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 4:36. The news is brought to you by U&I Furniture. Funeral services have been announced for a longtime former Hiram resident who died earlier this month in a traffic accident. Nadine Keeley was traveling in a car with her two daughters, Becky Keeley and Claudia Webb, when they were struck by another vehicle in American Fork on November 6th. According to the American Fork Police Department, the three women were driving westbound when an eastbound car with two male occupants lost control and crossed into oncoming traffic, colliding with the women's vehicle. Police said the men were traveling at a high rate of speed. Nadine was treated by paramedics and transported to the hospital, where she later passed away. Claudia was also hospitalized and later died of her injuries. Becky remains in stable condition in a hospital in Orem. Funeral services for Nadine Keeley will be held at the Hiram North Stake Center at 1 o'clock on Saturday. Claudia's funeral will be held in Orem on Friday. According to Nadine's obituary, the 91-year-old grew up without indoor plumbing or electricity on a rural sheep farm in Burlington, Wyoming. She and her husband, Art Keeley, moved to Hiram in 1966. Nadine's family remember her for her unconditional love, home-cooked meals, limitless treats, and handmade clothes, quilts, and afghans. She was known for always making time to listen, play games, and read books. A small city in the top U.S. coal mining state of Wyoming will be home to a Bill Gates-backed experimental nuclear power project near a coal-fired power plant scheduled to close soon. Officials with the Washington-based Terra Power announced on Tuesday that they will build the Natrium plant in Kemmerer. A coal-fired power plant operated by PacifiCorp subsidiary Rocky Mountain Power is set to close in Kemmerer in 2025. Proponents of the project, featuring a sodium-cooled fast reactor, say it would perform better, be safer, and cost less than traditional nuclear power. Others are skeptical, saying such reactors are not as safe or practical as claimed. And the Idaho legislature appeared ready to wrap up the extended 2021 session after a Senate committee killed three bills having to do with COVID-19 vaccine legislation. The Senate State Affairs Committee today held all three bills in committee. One bill involved making it easier for Idaho residents to get worker compensation if they became ill after taking an employee-mandated vaccine. Another bill would have prohibited questioning the sincerity of people claiming religious exemptions from vaccinations. And the third bill would have prevented employers from asking employees about whether they had received the COVID-19 vaccine. Lawmakers say versions of the bills could return when the legislature meets in January. KVNU News Time is 4:39.
The family's coming home for the holidays, and you'll need sofas to sit on, beds to sleep in, and tables to eat at. Upgrade your furniture for less than you think at U&I Furniture. Their #1 selling mattress is a Therapeutic Queen mattress for $399. An upgrade to a Maloof for only $599. Take home a good deal on an American-made sofa love or recliner from Franklin, Southern Motion, Broy Hill, and Lane. And their most popular dining set seats 6 with 4 chairs and a bench for $899. Get your home holiday ready at the place where there's always a better buy. U&I Furniture, 28 West 1st North, downtown Logan.
KVNU weather for tonight, increasing clouds. The overnight low tonight in the low 20s, partly sunny on Thursday, high temperature in the upper 40s. Slight chance of rain on Friday, mostly cloudy, high temperature in the lower 50s. It's been to 38 is all, and right now we have 35 at KVNU. KVNU weather is brought to you by Mount Logan Laundry, the cleanest spot in town with large capacity washers and dryers. They'll have you out in and out more quickly. Located at 5th East, 9th North in Logan, and also in Brigham City at 1st East and 7th South. Mount Logan Laundry. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com. Let's check Wall Street now with Edward Jones.
This is Senior Branch Office Administrator Dina Milligan bringing you the daily financial market report on behalf of financial advisor Darrell Arnell and Edward Jones. Equity markets finished modestly lower after the S&P 500 hit another all-time high yesterday. The focus was on earnings from major retailers, with Target, Lowe's, and TJX posting results this morning. The consumer backdrop appears robust, with expectations for a strong holiday season. However, cost pressures in some cases are pressuring profitability, even as companies are taking measures to pass through price increases to customers with a small lag. International markets finished mixed. While oil declined on speculation that U.S. and China might tap their strategic reserves to cool prices. Consistent with the cautious market undertone, bond yields declined, but the 10-year yield held above 1.60%. In stocks of local interest, Home Depot closed up $2.52 to $394.85. Lowe's closed up 95 cents to $245.73. Nucor closed down $2.49 to $109.11. Pepsi closed up 6 cents at $163.37. R.R. Donnelley closed down a penny at $9.21. Thermo Fisher closed down $4.18 to $637.30. Walmart closed down $1.23 to $141.94. Zions Bank closed down 15 cents at $66.29, and Northrop Grumman closed down 64 cents at $353.96. U.S. equities closed lower today. The Dow Jones closed down 211 points at 35,932. The NASDAQ closed down 52 points at 15,922. And the S&P 500 closed down 12 points at 4,689. This has been today's financial market report brought to you by Edward Jones and financial advisor Darrell Arnell, member SIPC, serving individual investors with personalized attention and financial advice. If you would like additional information, please visit our website at edwardjones.com.
Procrastination isn't a valid retirement strategy. If your saving for a retirement approach involves the phrase, "I'll get around to it someday," it's time to make someday into today. Edward Jones can help. Contact your local Edward Jones financial advisor to get started today. Visit edwardjones.com or stop by your local Edward Jones office. When it comes to meeting your retirement goals, time can be on your side, and there's no better time than now. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
At Winco, we're working to save you money. Big savings on top quality meat, produce, seafood, and deli. Bakery fresh breads, cakes, and cookies made daily in store. Low prices on top quality national brands and thousands of our own private label. In every aisle, every department, every day.
Now open in Logan at 1341 North Main Street.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Logan City Mayor Holly Daines in studio today. Her big return after the election, successful in her re-election bid. We spent the summer speaking with various representatives of different departments through Logan City. It was fascinating to get a look into all of these things. Also, speaking of Logan City, before we get back to our conversation with the mayor, on Monday, Mayor Daines, we spoke with the Director of Power and Light about this big battery project. Well, I guess it's a small battery project with big impact, potentially.
That's a really interesting pilot
thing.
program, and we got this very nice grant to really try some things and see how, it could maybe help us extend the life, extend the energy that solar projects provide. And as everyone knows, solar is a great source of energy. It's clean, it's inexpensive, but the problem is it doesn't provide that baseload power that runs 24/7. So,
Sure.
Again, if you can start to develop these batteries, and it's kind of early stages. Again, we're just trying to evaluate how some battery storage could help us, and in that way become, sort of more green in terms of our energy reliance.
As Mr. Montgomery told us on Monday, this is something that might be useful in every city in the state, but Logan City getting to be the guinea pigs on this, the test on this, and through a grant as well, so not costing the city a thing.
And one thing the city has, we have a group called RESAB, the Renewable Energy Sustainability Advisory Board. And, they help us, evaluate our carbon footprint and, what we're doing and how we could do better with renewable energy. And actually, Mike Taylor, as I'm sure Mark mentioned, a member of this board, has some real expertise in solar. Helped put together this grant application. And I'm really excited to see the results, see what happens.
I'm excited to see where it goes. And as Mark told us, it's being tested on a very small scale, but the goal is to know if it would work on a large scale and potentially maybe eliminate things like power outages and things like that. We'll have to see. But Logan City, again, a part of that pilot test, and one of the first of its kind in the West. You mentioned that construction and demolition, all of that, everything's going to kind of pause for the holidays. And there's good reason for that. It's one of the biggest shopping seasons of the year, kicking off. Well, it seems to be already underway based on the lines I saw just today at some of the stores in Logan. But it's a busy season. Everyone has something going on. And that's the case for Logan City as well. You guys have planned several different holiday events and things like that. I mentioned back in the summer there was a Latino festival and a few other things that really kind of highlighted the potential of downtown.
The Halloween Witches Dance was fun.
So packed. Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen so many people out on the streets around downtown. And it's exciting to see. And, of course, the weather played along that day. But
exactly. You never know about the weather this time of year.
But you're planning something similar with the upcoming holidays, right?
That's right. And Saturday, November 27th, it's a couple of great things. For one, it's a nationwide Small Business Saturday. And as we know, especially here in Logan, those unique small businesses are what drives a lot of our economy. And that's what gives the charm. It's not a chain. It's very individual and unique. So we encourage people to come out and support small businesses on that day. And that is the Saturday after Thanksgiving. So we are going to do what will be our second annual. Last year it got canceled because of COVID.
Yeah.
The Christmas parade, which brings Santa in a horse-drawn carriage. And we have all kinds of, we've expanded it a little this year. There'll be food trucks starting at 4 p.m.
Oh, wow.
And then from 4 to 5, we'll have the American Festival Chorus singing some Christmas music out on the street. The Christmas parade is at 5 p.m. And then there'll be holiday window displays, more Christmas caroling from 5:15 to 7. And then the tree lighting ceremony, we've moved it a little later this year because the first time we did it right after the parade, and it really wasn't quite dark enough. So,
I remember.
So the tree lighting ceremony with all the lights coming on Center Street is at 5:45 p.m. But again, there'll be some things to do in between the parade and so on. Beginning at 6 to 7, kids can see Santa in the lobby of the Utah Theater. That's free. Then the Utah Theater is offering a free movie of Home Alone 2 at 7:30
a classic.
p.m. the Nutcracker will be going on at the Eccles Theater. So, and then earlier in December, the Lyric Theater is presenting A Christmas Carol at the Lyric. And that's generally, they've only done things in the summer. So we're excited to see them come downtown during the holiday season and do A Christmas Carol.
That's right.
So lots going on.
Pickleville going to be in downtown as well.
That's
for
right,
the,
at the Eccles
Christmas
Theater.
season.
And
there's a lot going on. We talk on Thursdays. Charlie Schill from CashValleyDaily.com comes in, and we talk primarily theater and the arts. But one of the themes throughout that show is that there's always something going on. Any weekend, you can find something arts related. And then, as I thought of when we spoke last week, as I thought of you returning to the studio today for this episode, I got thinking. It's always down. Well, not always, but it's most often downtown. There are so many venues, so many options of where an event can happen. And we've been talking in the first part of the show here about that expanding a bit now as this new construction gets underway in the spring. The city, does it change the landscape a little bit as far as the events that the city plans like this? Is it harder or easier to plan these events? Are there more options for the city as well? And then going forward, how big can these events get? Say next winter when that construction's done, are you already thinking about that and saying, we can have larger events, we could do bigger things than even the big stuff we're already doing? Or is it still too early on all of this?
We're thinking about it. And again, when we put together sort of our potential programming, our ideas, our grant applications to try and get additional funding, our staff at the Parks Department, and again, we envision running this through the Parks Department, is, again, kind of a recreation option. And they put together a list of, hundreds of things you could host, from small things like, yoga in the park and, or in the plaza early morning to, a bigger concert. All kinds of holiday-related things, pet parades at Halloween. Chess tournaments with, giant chess boards. So
I love that idea.
There are a lot of options. And again, the exciting thing about Center Street and Center Block and trying to connect with that, make that Center Block walkway better, is you could have a big festival, again, that really encompasses Center Street and the plaza. And, you could grow into the parking area if you needed to. So there are a lot of possibilities. And we have a lot of things in mind, but we'll kind of also mature organically a little bit as we get closer to completion.
It does speak to a very near future in which, things that oftentimes, Cache Valley residents would drive to Ogden or even Salt Lake for will be happening in downtown Logan, events of that style. And, of course, the growth coming along with that, there will be people to attend. So the city will be grappling with where are all those people going to live. Just up the street here from the station, this housing development went together very quickly.
It did. Again, we know there are housing needs at all levels, from lower income housing, but what really is kind of missing in the market is that middle, what they're calling the middle housing. So young families that are starting out, and prices are going crazy. So. And Logan City has made a decision to try and densify housing, particularly, in some of the downtown areas. It's close to infrastructure. It means we're not sprawling out and taking out more farmland in the county. I think a lot of folks don't want Cache Valley to be like the Wasatch Front, which is, housing and development all the way from mountainside to mountainside. So if we're going to accomplish that, but still accommodate the growth and provide housing for these new families. And a lot of our growth, I just heard some statistics this week at a league meeting, 3/4 of the growth is internal. Mm-hmm. It's coming from our children, our grandchildren.
They want to stay, right?
Right. It's not just all outsiders coming. So it's just more efficient to, again, build housing where there's existing infrastructure, where people can walk so they don't have to drive to everything. Again, I'm excited about the new housing development on 100 South in Logan, the Mill Creek development, where, again, if you live there, can you get by with just one car instead of two? Because there are a lot of services you can walk to. There's employment close by. So it'll be interesting to see how things continue to evolve downtown.
Sure. And, every city in the Valley dealing with this in one way or another, as we saw during the elections, as we saw, in discussions on the show here. Not unique to Logan. It's a statewide thing. But it's going to present some challenges, and encouraging to see Logan City and other cities planning ahead on this. If you have a question or comment for our guest, Logan City Mayor Holly Daines, here in studio, 753-5868. We'll be back after our last break, right after this.
I'm Larry Gelwicks, the getaway guru. Morris Murdoch and Columbus Travel announced their merger and are celebrating with cruise and travel discounts. And now you can run away to the sunny beaches of Mexico and Hawaii with FunJet Vacations guaranteed air and hotel double discounts. For details, contact your favorite Morris Columbus travel office.
Come on and get away, Morris Columbus.
Wow, your cars look so shiny.
Thanks. I've been taking them to Green Gorilla Car Wash. Thanks to their new ceramic application, my cars have never had such a glossy shine.
Sounds expensive.
You haven't heard about their sale? Right now, their Jungle membership with ceramic coating is half off for every vehicle. Instead of $30 per month, I'm only paying $14.99 from now until September 2022.
That's almost a whole year.
I know. My half-price membership is good at both Green Gorilla locations in the Valley.
I better head there now.
This is your last chance to get your overgrown trees and shrubs trimmed before it snows. Call Whole Tree Care at 760-6587 and ask about their radio discount. In fact, right now is the best time to have your trees trimmed because the leaves have fallen, providing better visibility for shaping your trees. If your trees suffer damage from the October snowstorm, Whole Tree Care's certified arborist can help reshape them. Call 760-6587. Whole Tree Care, 760-6587.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Short on time here. We did have a caller with a question, Mayor Daines, for you. The question was about Freedom Fire. I'm assuming the question was, is that coming back? I know 2 years now.
Well,
have we missed two?
We canceled 1 year because of
That's
COVID.
Right, COVID.
And so this year we simply did another kind of more homegrown celebration like we do on the 24th. We had fireworks at Willow Park, and we've learned a few things about positioning. We need to, shoot the fireworks a little higher so people can see them better from a distance. But it actually, it's...
You got some complaints from Mendon, huh? They couldn't see it?
To do it in the stadium was such an expensive proposition with just all the rental costs, the sound system, the band, and again, it's a one-time event, and then that money's gone, so we've struggled with that for some time. And so we're going to try this format for a little while. Let's do a community-based celebration. We'll still do great fireworks, spend the same on fireworks, but save a lot
on venue.
And again, people may have to shift their traditions a little bit. It's a little different place to go, and then we'll invest that money that we'd normally, spend on a one-time event and continue to do improvements to our parks and trails that will be lasting infrastructure. And so again, I think our plan, at least for the next little while, is to continue that celebration at Willow Park.
That is, this is another one coming in, a very quick one, and I'm not familiar with the setup, but a listener chiming in here online wanting to know if there are plans for water availability at the golf course dog park. I assume they mean the one out on the highway?
Right, and that's something maybe we could talk about next show. We are working on a master plan. As we close the landfill, the plan has always been to develop back into some sort of recreational asset for the community.
Oh, sure.
And so we've done a master plan for a regional park there. We've already of run it by the Woodruff neighborhood because it's located there. Again, part of the plan is a new regional dog park. We're thinking we might turn the mountain of the landfill into a bike park.
A lot of options there.
Right. But the problem is paying for it. So that's what we have to think. This could be a 10-year plan to do the whole thing. We'll apply for some grants and funding. But we could talk about that in more detail
Very nice.
next time.
That is, and I asked Mayor Daines during the break, no details yet, no surprise here, no details yet on infrastructure money from the federal bill passed. A listener had asked about that as well. That's going to take some time. State lawmakers are going to have to grapple with that first, and they'll probably do that in the upcoming session in January. So thanks again to these last few questions here, and thanks to